When you think of Illinois wealth, you picture Michael Jordan or downtown hedge funds. But that is an illusion. The real power operates from the shadows of Chicago's skyscrapers and quiet suburban estates. We are talking about ruthless dynasties that control the American defense industry, the global insurance grid, and the very beer you drink. Today, we count down the 12 richest families in Illinois. Number 12, the Duchossois Family, the garage door guardians. Most people assume that billion-dollar fortunes are built by writing revolutionary software or discovering vast oil fields. The Duchossois family proved that you can build an absolute financial fortress out of the most boring, easily ignored objects in the American suburbs. How the money was made. Richard Duchossois, a highly decorated World War II hero who fought in the Battle of the Bulge, returned home and eventually built his fortune through the Thrall Car Manufacturing Company. He produced the rail cars that physically moved the American economy. But his true wealth exploded when the family acquired the Chamberlain Group. They dominated the production of residential garage door openers and commercial gate operators. How it was protected. They protected their wealth by capturing an unglamorous, unavoidable niche. Chamberlain became the undisputed industry standard. When a product becomes universally necessary, you no longer have to market it. You simply collect a tax on its existence. Every time an American pressed a button to park their car, the Duchossois family captured a fraction of a cent. The power move. Richard Duchossois bought the Arlington Park racetrack, and when it burned down, he rebuilt it into a stunning world-class equestrian palace. He later executed a massive merger with Churchill Downs. But the ultimate financial power move happened recently, when the family sold the Chamberlain Group to the private equity leviathan Blackstone for a reported $5 billion. What most people misunderstand, the public looked at Richard Duchossois and saw a wealthy horse racing enthusiast. In reality, he was a ruthless industrial operator who monopolized the physical entryways to millions of American homes. He traded the flash of the racetrack for the quiet, infinite cash flow of suburban utility, exiting the market at the absolute peak of its valuation. Number 11. The McKascal Family, the gridiron matriarchy. In the state of Illinois, sports are not just a pastime, they are a deeply entrenched religion. And the McKascal family owns the most sacred cathedral in the Midwest. How the money was made. In 1920, George Halas purchased the Chicago Bears for a reported $100. That single, seemingly trivial investment grew into one of the foundational pillars of the National Football League. Today, his daughter, Virginia Halas McKascal, stands as the matriarch of the organization. The family's wealth is entirely tethered to the astronomical explosion of NFL broadcast rights. How it was protected. The McKascal family protected their billions through sheer, unyielding stubbornness. They absolutely refused to sell. As venture capitalists and private equity billionaires desperately try to buy their way into the exclusive NFL cartel, the McKaskals simply hold their ground, watching their asset appreciate into a $6 billion valuation without having to lift a finger. The power move. For decades, the Bears played at Soldier Field, essentially acting as high-paying tenants to the city of Chicago. But recently, the family executed a terrifying real estate maneuver. They purchased the sprawling 326-acre Arlington Park property. By securing this massive plot of land, they effectively held the entire city of Chicago hostage, leveraging the threat of leaving the city limits to extract billions in potential tax subsidies and infrastructural support. What most people misunderstand, the general public views the Chicago Bears as a professional football team. The McKaskals view the Bears as a live entertainment real estate holding company. The players on the field are simply the marketing department. The true product is the inelastic, multi-generational loyalty of the fan base, which guarantees massive television payouts regardless of whether the team wins or loses. Number 10. The Manuo family, the data emperor. Wall Street is built on secrecy, complexity, and confusion. Joe Manuo realized that if you could organize that confusion, you could control the flow of global capital from a desk in Chicago. How the money was made. In 1984, Manuo founded Morningstar in the living room of his Lincoln Park apartment. At the time, mutual funds were a complete black box. Retail investors had absolutely no idea what they were actually buying. Mansueto built an independent rating system, grading funds from 1 to 5 stars. It was simple, elegant, and entirely revolutionary. How it was protected. Morningstar's star rating system became the absolute, unavoidable standard for financial advisors around the globe. He protected his wealth by making his data the foundational language of investing. Today, a portfolio manager cannot successfully market a mutual fund without Morningstar's explicit blessing. The power move. Mansueto took the massive recurring subscription revenue from his financial data empire and aggressively embedded himself into the physical and cultural architecture of Chicago. He bought the iconic Wrigley Building, a crown jewel of the city's skyline, in cold, hard cash. He then purchased the Chicago Fire Major League Soccer team, elevating himself from a silent corporate billionaire to a highly visible civic power broker. What most people misunderstand: people assume that the richest men in finance are the ones actively trading the stocks and managing the massive hedge funds. Mansueto proved that taking on market risk is a fool's game. With a personal net worth approaching $7 billion, he simply taxes the information required to make the trades. He is the ultimate toll booth operator on the global financial highway. Number 9. The Wirtz family, the liquor lords. When a dynasty controls what a city watches and what a city drinks, they effectively control the culture. The Wirtz family has monopolized both. How the money was made. The late Arthur Wirtz initially built a massive empire in Chicago real estate and sports, famously acquiring the Chicago Blackhawks. But the true, terrifying engine of the family's wealth is the Breakthrough Beverage Group. Following the repeal of Prohibition, the U.S. government mandated a strict 3-tier system for alcohol sales, meaning producers must sell to distributors, who then sell to retailers. The Wirtz family aggressively rolled up the middleman position. How it was protected. They protected their wealth through absolute regulatory capture. Because the 3-tier system is enshrined in law, every single bar, restaurant, and liquor store in the region is legally forced to purchase their alcohol through distributors like Breakthrough Beverage. It is a state-sponsored monopoly that guarantees billions in perpetual cash flow. The power move. Under the leadership of the late Rocky Wirtz, the family executed a dual-front dominance. They completely revitalized the Chicago Blackhawks, transforming a dying franchise into a modern dynasty that won 3 Stanley Cups. Simultaneously, they merged their beverage operations to create an international distribution leviathan that moves billions of dollars of premium spirits annually. What most people misunderstand: the media focuses entirely on the Blackhawks because the NHL provides glamorous headlines and championship parades. But the hockey team is merely the tip of the iceberg. The true, multi-billion-dollar power lies in the invisible fleet of delivery trucks dropping off vodka and beer to local taverns. They profit from the celebration when the team wins, and they profit from the misery when the team loses. Number 8. The Bloom family, the casino kings. Real estate is a game of geography, but gambling is a game of human psychology. Neil Bloom mastered both, forging an empire of concrete and chance. How the money was made. Neil Bloom co-founded JMB Realty in 1969. He dominated the high-end urban real estate market, developing massive, ultra-luxurious properties like the iconic 900 North Michigan skyscraper in downtown Chicago. When the commercial real estate market experienced a brutal downturn in the 1990s, Bloom executed a brilliant pivot into the gaming industry, founding Rush Street Gaming. How it was protected. Bloom did not try to build flashy billion-dollar destination resorts in Las Vegas. Instead, he protected his wealth by securing highly restricted, heavily regulated regional casino licenses in major metropolitan markets. By building casinos in places like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Illinois, he created localized monopolies protected by state governments. The power move. His ultimate financial masterpiece is the Rivers Casino in Des Plaines. Rather than building a resort in the middle of nowhere, he strategically positioned the casino mere minutes from O'Hare International Airport and massive population centers. It rapidly became the highest-grossing casino in the entire state of Illinois, functioning as a hyper-efficient, highly optimized cash extraction machine. What most people misunderstand, the public views casinos as places of entertainment and chance. Bloom views them as mathematical certainties. He does not gamble. He builds heavily fortified, legally sanctioned physical platforms that systematically harvest discretionary income from the local population. With a net worth hovering around $6 billion, he proves that the house never loses, especially when the house is the only one legally allowed to operate in the neighborhood. Number 7. The Zell Family. The Grave Dancer's Empire. Most real estate developers want to build glittering, beautiful skyscrapers that define the skyline. The late Sam Zell just wanted to buy the blood on the streets. How the money was made? Sam Zell famously embraced the nickname the Grave Dancer. In the 1970s, when the commercial real estate market imploded and developers were going bankrupt en masse, Zell aggressively bought up distressed office buildings and apartment complexes for pennies on the dollar. He realized that the replacement cost of the buildings was vastly higher than what he was paying, virtually guaranteeing a massive future profit. How it was protected. Zell did not just buy buildings, he completely restructured how America invests in them. He was a pioneer of the modern real estate investment trust, REIT. By creating massive public vehicles like equity residential and equity lifestyle properties, he was able to offload the financial risk to public shareholders while maintaining absolute operational control and collecting exorbitant management fees. The power move. In 2007, Zell executed the most legendary, perfectly timed exit in the history of American real estate. He orchestrated the leveraged buyout of Equity Office, selling the massive portfolio to the private equity firm Blackstone for a staggering $39 billion. He completed the sale at the absolute euphoric peak of the market, right before the global financial crisis utterly decimated real estate values. What most people misunderstand: Zell was not a builder or an architect. He was a brilliant, ruthless liquidator. While other developers tied their egos to the physical structures, Zell treated skyscrapers like disposable financial derivatives. The Zell family office continues to manage a massive fortune because their patriarch understood that true wealth is not created by building the city. It is created by buying it out of bankruptcy. Number 6. The Ryan Family, the insurance architects. If you want to build an indestructible fortune, you do not sell a luxury product. You sell a legally mandated corporate requirement. You sell insurance. How the money was made? Patrick Ryan founded Aon in 1982, aggressively merging his way to the absolute top of the financial sector. He transformed a small agency into the second largest insurance broker on the planet. He realized that massive global corporations, from airlines to oil refineries, require highly specialized, incredibly complex insurance policies to operate. Ryan provided the coverage, taking a massive cut of every single premium. How it was protected. The brilliance of the insurance brokerage model is absolute risk insulation. Patrick Ryan did not take on the actual liability of the payouts. If a hurricane destroyed a city, the insurance carriers took the financial hit. Aon simply collected the commission for brokering the deal. It is a completely risk-free toll booth on global catastrophe. The power move. Most men retire at age 73. When Patrick Ryan hit mandatory retirement age and stepped down from Aon, he immediately founded Ryan Specialty Group. He built an entirely new, highly specialized wholesale insurance brokerage from scratch, took it public, and added several $1 billion to his personal net worth. He also acquired a 10% ownership stake in the Chicago Bears, cementing his civic dominance. What most people misunderstand: people think insurance is a boring, sleepy industry. In reality, it is a mandatory tax on corporate existence. You cannot fly a plane, build a skyscraper, or operate a hospital without commercial coverage. With a fortune exceeding $10 billion, Ryan built his empire by sitting at the absolute center of global risk, taxing the anxiety of the Fortune 500. Number 5. The Crown Family, the defense dynasty. To truly rule a city, you must diversify your power. The Crown family mastered the terrifying intersection of civilian real estate, elite leisure, and the global war machine. How the money was made. Henry Crown founded the Material Service Corporation in 1919, dominating the sand and gravel industry. You literally could not build the city of Chicago without buying his raw materials. But his ultimate wealth was forged when he executed a massive merger, trading his construction material empire for a massive ownership stake in General Dynamics, one of the largest defense contractors in the world. How it was protected. The Crown family protected their multi-generational wealth through aggressive, uncorrelated diversification. They own massive blocks of stock in defense contractors that build nuclear submarines and fighter jets. Simultaneously, they own the Aspen Skiing Company, controlling the ultra-exclusive winter playgrounds of the global elite. They hedged their bets across the entire spectrum of human activity. The power move. The Crowns do not leave their corporate interests to the whims of the free market. They actively shape the political landscape. They are deeply entrenched in local and national politics, funding the campaigns of nearly every major politician in Illinois. This ensures that their real estate developments face minimal friction and their defense contracts remain politically untouchable. What most people misunderstand. The public sees the Crown name on philanthropic wings of museums and universities. What they misunderstand is the sheer, brutal industrial scale of the engine that funds that charity. The family, worth roughly $15 billion, profits from the foundational elements of civilization. Whether the world is building high-rise condos, hitting the ski slopes, or deploying advanced military weaponry, the Crown family is collecting a dividend. The strategies these industrial families use to build quiet monopolies are highly calculated. If you want to understand how billionaires allocate capital, I've tagged The Outsiders by William Thorndike on the screen. Number 4. The Smith Family, the Industrial Phantoms. There is a massive multi-billion-dollar fortune hiding in the plastic rings of your six-pack, the fasteners in your car, and the zipper on your sandwich bag. It belongs to the Smith family. How the money was made. Byron L. Smith laid the family's financial foundation by establishing Northern Trust Banking in 1889. However, the family's wealth truly exploded into the stratosphere with the founding of Illinois Tool Works, ITW, in 1912. ITW does not build the shiny, glamorous products that consumers line up to buy. They build the highly specialized, patented internal components that allow those products to function. How it was protected. ITW protects its empire through complete, intentional invisibility and an ironclad wall of intellectual property. The company holds over 18,000 active patents. They engineered a structural monopoly over the minutiae of global manufacturing. Competitors cannot replicate their specialized gears, valves, and fasteners without triggering massive, crippling patent infringement lawsuits. The power move. The Smith family's wealth was accelerated by the ruthless application of the 80-20 business principle. ITW continuously acquires hundreds of smaller specialized manufacturing companies. Upon acquisition, they immediately terminate the bottom 80% of clients that only produce 20% of the profit, hyper-optimizing the remaining core business for maximum margin. What most people misunderstand, with a family fortune hovering near $20 billion, the Smiths are essentially industrial phantoms. You interact with dozens of ITW products every single day, yet you will never see their logo. They are the ultimate, unavoidable tax on global manufacturing. They prove that true wealth is not found in building the machine. It is found in owning the patent to the screw that holds the machine together. Number 3. The Reyes family, the distribution dons. You do not need to brew the best beer or cook the best fries to become a billionaire. You just need to own the trucks that deliver them to the hungry masses. How the money was made. Brothers Chris and Jude Reyes started in 1976 by purchasing a small, unassuming Schlitz beer distributor in Chicago. Through relentless, aggressive acquisitions, they rolled up the highly fragmented distribution market. Today, Reyes Holdings is the largest beer distributor in the entire United States. Furthermore, their subsidiary, Martin Brower, is the massive logistical engine that delivers food to the global network of McDonald's restaurants. How it was protected. The Reyes brothers built their empire on the concept of exclusive, legally binding distribution rights. Once they secure a territory for a brand like Modelo or Coors, no other company can legally distribute those products in that region. They built a localized, state-sponsored monopoly that acts as an impenetrable physical moat around their cash flow. The power move. Recognizing the increasingly brutal, highly taxed regulatory environment of Illinois, the Reyes brothers quietly executed a massive wealth migration. They shifted significant portions of their primary residences and operations to the ultra-wealthy zero-income tax enclaves of Florida, shielding their astronomical personal wealth while continuing to extract billions from the Midwestern supply chain. What most people misunderstand, the Reyes family, commanding a $19 billion fortune, are the ultimate invisible middlemen. They do not take on the massive marketing risk of launching new consumer brands, nor do they face the brutal, low-margin reality of running a retail restaurant. They operate strictly in the cold chain logistics. They simply monopolize the physical movement of the economy, proving that whoever controls the trucks controls the market. Number 2, the Walton branch, Lucas Walton, the retail heir. The second richest entity in Illinois did not build his fortune in the state. He imported it from Arkansas, and he is using it to quietly re-engineer the entire global economy. How the money was made. Lucas Walton is the grandson of Sam Walton, the legendary founder of Walmart. When Lucas's father, John T. Walton, tragically passed away in a plane crash, Lucas inherited an unfathomable sum of money. Standing as the richest individual resident in the state of Illinois, his personal net worth fluctuates around $40 billion, entirely tethered to the retail dominance of the Walmart empire. How it was protected. The Walton fortune is protected by one of the most brilliantly structured family trusts in American history. The family collectively maintains an ownership stake of roughly 50% in Walmart. This absolute concentration of equity entirely insulates the company from hostile Wall Street takeovers or activist investors, ensuring the dividends flow directly to the family office in perpetuity. The power move. Instead of remaining in Bentonville, Arkansas, Lucas Walton established his base of operations in Chicago. But his power move is how he deploys his capital. He founded Builder's Vision, an incredibly massive impact investing platform. He is using his billions to unilaterally dictate environmental policy, actively funding sustainable agriculture and ocean health initiatives, effectively operating as a private sovereign wealth fund for the green economy. What most people misunderstand, the public sees Lucas Walton simply as a lucky heir to a retail fortune. In reality, he has transitioned from a passive shareholder into a sovereign capital allocator. He is taking the massive dividends generated by the American working class shopping at Walmart and deploying that capital to single-handedly restructure the environmental infrastructure of the Midwest. Number 1. The Pritzker Family, the political monarchy. Most billionaires spend their lives lobbying the government to protect their monopolies. The richest family in Illinois decided it was vastly more efficient to simply become the government. How the money was made. The foundation of the Pritzker dynasty was laid by A.N. Pritzker and his sons, Jay and Robert. They aggressively built the Chamberlain Group, a massive conglomerate of industrial companies, and famously founded the Hyatt Hotel chain. They purchased distressed assets, applied ruthless operational efficiency, and built a global hospitality and manufacturing leviathan. How it was protected. For decades, the Pritzker family protected their billions through incredibly complex, highly secretive offshore trust structures located in the Bahamas. These ironclad legal fortresses shielded the family's assets from the IRS, allowing their wealth to compound massively across multiple generations before internal family disputes forced the eventual breakup of the trusts, minting nearly a dozen individual billionaires. The power move. The ultimate power move of the Pritzker dynasty was their aggressive transition from corporate billionaires to public rulers. J.B. Pritzker utilized hundreds of millions of dollars of his own personal fortune to secure the governorship of Illinois. Meanwhile, his sister Penny Pritzker served at the absolute highest levels of federal power as the United States Secretary of Commerce under President Obama. What most people misunderstand, with a collective family net worth easily exceeding $40 billion, The Pritzkers are not merely business owners. They are an American monarchy. They prove that capitalism has a final, ultimate stage. Once you own the global hotel chains, the industrial factories, and the offshore banks, the final asset required to secure absolute, unchallengeable dominance is the state itself. Illinois is a fortress for the ultra-wealthy. From the silent industrial phantoms to the political monarchy in the governor's mansion, these dynasties literally own the infrastructure of your daily life. Which of these Midwestern empires holds the most absolute power? Let me know down below. If you want to understand who really runs the world, make sure to like and subscribe to Global Status. We track the money so you don't have to.